Tongue?
Almost.
Oh, we're going by this one. That's what I just did. Hi, Eric.
I just need to turn mine on before it goes on.
Hi, Mr. Burns.
How are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Been all right.
Good.
You good this summer?
As good as I guess I can be.
Just one.
You take a paper bag? Sorry, I didn't say that.
Call the August 21st meeting of the APC to order. First order of business is roll call.
Jackson Bogan, Larry Leverance,
Here.
Gary Schroeder, Vicki Pearl,
Here.
Jerry Reynolds,
Here.
Greg Jones,
Here.
Bob Metzger, Diana Looper,
Here.
Carlos Snodgrass, Rabita Rajgarnikar,
Present.
Tom Murtaugh, Present, Steve Snyder,
Present.
Tracy Brown,
Present.
Jason Domkowski,
Here.
Lisa Dullum, Kathy Parker,
Here.
Jody Hamilton.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you, sir. Briefing session.
The Z2940 and rezone Z2935, those two petitioners have requested continuance to September 18th.
Okay.
All other cases are ready to be heard.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from the July 17th, 2024 public hearing as submitted.
A second.
Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. New business, final detailed plans on resolution PD 2409. Jerry.
I move to hear and vote on resolution PD 2409.
A second.
All right. The project before you is just outside the city limits of West Lafayette in the unincorporated county. The construction plans for this project were approved and recorded a little while back. The project itself is over 16 acres. This is the kind of, you can see that the construction has already kind of begun there for per the construction plans. The proposal is 158 condominium residential units. The final plat, this shows the project in its full build out. The final plat here is essentially the boundary, the entire boundary, the whole 16 plus acre site. This will establish the condo association fee simple lot. And then as foundations are put in place, the surveyors can come out and shoot them, and then they can amend this final plat with the individual residential units that will be for sale. So this is sort of the kind of the second to last step before actually having condo real estate for sale. So bonding is being requested, mostly for the landscaping and a couple other items, and that's already been received. And so we are recommending approval of resolution PD 2409.
Does the petitioner or petitioner's representative?
Yes, good evening. Chris Shellman of Gutwein Law, 250 Main Street, here on behalf of the petitioner. We appreciate the staff in getting to this point. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Any member of the audience wishing to speak about this petition? Any questions from the board? Okay, you have a yellow ballot.
have a unanimous ballot for approval.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, go ahead.
I move to hear and vote on Resolution PD 24-10.
A second.
Okay, moving over here into Lafayette. The Jeffersonian Plan Development was approved by Lafayette City Council in May of 2021. This final detailed plan set is the full package, final detailed plans, construction plans, and final plat. They are taking this large tract that you see here on the screen, platting it into 3 parts. Essentially, the historic high school building is largely not changing here, but it's going to have its own lot. The parking lot to the north is not really changing that much at all. It's sort of just being reserved as is, and the uses are essentially just parking and the existing little open space that they have there as a private amenity. And then the main event really is Lot 2, which is the new residential building. It's a new 3-story apartment building for seniors, and this is a shot of the final plan layout. The footprint's a little bit different from what City Council saw, but we actually think this actually works a little better. We sort of inverted the building with the parking lot, so now the common parking lot's between the 2 buildings. And we think this provides for better flow, and there's been no diminishment in parking or the approved landscaping, so it was all above board. And we think that pushing the building to the street just kind of frames it better and it's more in harmony with the urban historic environment around it. The city is going to get a bus pullout off of 9th Street northbound with this. Obviously, this is a heavily used transit stop, and so that city bus is going to get a significant improvement with this project. With that, again, bonding has been being requested. It has been received and is in order, and so I'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we're recommending approval of Resolution PD 2410.
Thank you, Ryan. Does the petitioner or his or her representative wish to make a presentation?
Hi, I don't know if you can hear me. Hi, I'm Marie Morris, Executive Director of Lafayette Neighborhood Housing, and I just want to thank this entire community for how much they put behind this project, and we're very excited about it. It will be an additional 50 units of affordable senior housing. Already have a waiting list that's probably going to fill it, and we worked a long time with the neighborhood to make sure they were happy, and of course in the historical district we had a lot of input on that. So everybody seems to be really thrilled with the end result, and I hope that you approve it. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any member of the audience wishing to speak on behalf of this petition? Hearing none, any questions from the board?
So Brian had said that they were requesting bonding, and how do we vote on that?
It's part of your signature.
So it's just,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, PDs go a little different than the
Okay.
subdivisions. There's no
All right.
box to check.
Any other questions? All right, you have a yellow ballot for that one.
Again, we have a unanimous ballot for approval.
Thank you. Okay, in our public hearing, let me read procedures for our public hearing section. For those of you unfamiliar with our procedures, the Commission would like you to know the following. When we hear a request to subdivide land, we're only concerned as to whether the actual drawing showing the division into lots meets the technical requirements of our ordinance. The question of appropriateness has already been determined. Anyone wishing to make comments or provide us with information regarding any subdivision petitions will be given the opportunity to do so. When we're hearing a request for a change in zoning, we're trying to determine if the new zone being requested and the uses allowed in that zone are appropriate to that property and supported by the comprehensive plan. With each case being heard, our staff will present its report. Then the person requesting the rezone will be given an opportunity to speak. Following that, those of you wishing to speak in favor of the rezone will be recognized, and those of you who wish to oppose it will have a turn. This will be your only time to speak. The person requesting the action will be allowed a rebuttal. Plan Commission members will then ask questions and finally vote. Please limit your statements to no more than 5 minutes. We ask that you not repeat what others have said, what others before you have already said. We're a 17-member body, and a majority of 17 is 9. Regardless of how many commissioners are actually present, at least 9 votes in favor or 9 votes against are required for our action to be official. If fewer than 9 of us agree to either approve or disapprove an action, that case must be heard again next month. Our vote on a request to subdivide is final. Our vote on a request to rezone serves as a recommendation to the appropriate city council, town council, or county commissioners who must ultimately decide on changes in zoning. When addressing the commission, please state your name and address for the record. Cell phones must be turned off while the meeting is in session. If you need to make a call, please step out of the room before using your phone. All exhibits presented to the commission become the property of the commission.
I move that there be incorporated into the public hearing portion of each application to be heard this evening and become part of the evidence at such hearing, the Unified Zoning Ordinance, the Unified Subdivision Ordinance, and Comprehensive Plan, the bylaws of the Area Plan Commission, the application, and all documents filed therewith, the staff report and the recommendations of applications to be heard this evening, and response for those checkpoint agencies.
A second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Ready for the continuances. Jerry.
I move to continue Z 2935 Trentanos Development LLC I3 to R3 and Z 2940 Greco LLC A to I3 to September 18th APC meeting.
A second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Subdivisions.
I move to hear and vote on S 5208 Lafayette 11B subdivision.
A second.
Okay, the City of Lafayette is requesting a one-lot subdivision for a proposed sewer lift station. This is a lift station for areas considered 11B. The location is on the north side of Wea School Road, just north of Wea Township, and on Wea School Road. You can see here they have done some work, preliminary work, even though the map does show some stuff in floodplain. They've done some certification to verify that that's out. So you can see here the lift station will be on the east side of the property, and they'll access it from a Wea School Road. And they've met all the standard secondary application approval process will be handled once this sketch plan is approved, and the conditions are standard conditions with a minor plat.
Okay. Does the petitioner or petitioner's representative wish to make a presentation?
Chris Franz from HWC Engineering, representing the City of Lafayette, 135 North Pennsylvania, Indianapolis, Indiana. We appreciate working with the county. We've had several meetings with most of the folks in order to make sure that we're meeting all the requirements. So the city's encouraged to get going here pretty soon with construction. I'm ready to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Does any member of the audience wish to make a comment on this petition? Any questions or comments from the board? All right, you have a white ballot on this one.
We have a unanimous ballot for approval.
Thank you, Ryan.
I move to hear and vote on S 5209 Gutwein Gardenium Minor Subdivision, a replat of Lot 152 Winding Creek Minor Sketch, formerly known as Gutwein Minor.
Petitioner is requesting this rezone specifically to amend the east and south easements and setbacks along the roads here. The current setback is 40 feet, and they're requesting a setback to 35 feet. And then they are reducing the drainage and utility easements, which are primarily in the right-of-way. But there are some drainage easements that need to be verified from the surveyor's office on the final plat. This process is required when the easements are platted, so to change those, they're going through the replatting process. Conditions are a standards condition other than the easement that just needs to be verified through the surveyor's office and will be reflected on the final plat.
Okay. Does a petitioner or petitioner's representative wish to make a presentation?
Good evening. Christian Buckley, engineer with T-Bird, 105 North 10th Street, Lafayette. We're aware of and agree with all the staff comments on this report. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wishing to make a comment on this petition? Questions from the board? Okay, you have a white ballot.
We have a unanimous ballot for approval.
Thanks, Ryan.
I move to hear and vote on Z 2931 Wesley Foundation of Purdue University, Lysolician Wesley Foundation PD R3W to PDMX.
I second.
Petitioner, with the consent from the property owner, Purdue, is requesting the rezoning for the Wesleyan Foundation. The four-story building is designed to contain both campus ministry facilities and multifamily apartments. As you can see, this area is basically in the center of the informal area known as the island. It's surrounded by Purdue and other buildings that are in similar stature to what's being proposed. It sits at the corner of 2nd and Waldron. This is a rendering. The developer worked with staff and the city to come up and finalize this, but this is primarily the developer's design. We have some public improvements along the road, some benches, some 3 additional parking spots on the east side of the property. But primarily this is an additional service or facility that is being provided by the developer. The development team has worked with the city and the staff to provide this proposed service for the university by creating additional housing while also providing additional religious services to the students on campus. Staff appreciates options for students to serve and the additional housing. This falls within the similar design of this area, so staff can support this request.
Thank you. Petitioner's representative.
Brian Munden with RTS Law here on behalf of the petitioner, Wesley Foundation at Purdue University. Wesley has been on Purdue's campus at its State Street location for over 100 years. As a result of the expansion of the Daniels School of Business, Wesley has agreed to a swap of property with Purdue, resulting in the relocation from their State Street location to 122 Waldron. In fact, Purdue has already started demo on their State Street location. Wesley's program is not changing as a result of this location. Their mission remains open hearts, open minds, and open doors, and they're excited about the new building and new opportunities that it will create to continue to serve the community. This project includes a number of great spaces, including an 81-seat great hall that you can see on the slide that's currently up, as well as multiple lounges, a chapel, offices, Zoom rooms, library, classroom, dining room, and kitchen. As Larry mentioned, there's also a residential component to it. The upper floors will include up to 34 beds. We've presented this project to the Joint Board in April and received all positive comments. We concur with staff's report and recommendation, and we would respectfully request your recommendation of approval. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of this proposal? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Questions from the board? You have a yellow ballot.
We have a unanimous ballot for approval. This will move on to Westside City Council.
Thank you. That will go to, yes, to the West Lafayette City Council on September 3rd.
I move to hear and vote on Z 2933, Core Lafayette Chauncey LLC. Jonathan Cuveau, Hub Chauncey PD, CBW to PDMX.
I second.
All right. Well, we've been at this one for a good few years, as you can imagine, and I'm delighted to bring the results of, like I said, over probably 5 years of negotiating with various parties, refining this concept, bringing it into a much clearer focus, and I believe we have something that is going to bring a lot of value to the community. So this is our location, really in the heart of the action. This is right in the core of West Lafayette's historic downtown. The current shopping mall has been there since 1979 and is largely looked like the way it does now. And obviously lots of tenants have come and gone over the years. And it's been a very valuable asset, despite not being overly attractive, it's extremely useful and has served the city very well. And that was sort of the foundation for this project, was to draw out of something new the same sort of community orientation, that this is not just for a single group, this is for everyone in the city. And so with that guidance, this project essentially tries to hold to this same urban form you're looking at two-dimensionally. It sort of inverts the suburban-urban dynamic. So instead of a single-story L-shaped building, it's still L-shaped, but it's much taller. And instead of a surface parking lot, you have a park. And so I think for folks that have lived here all their lives, they've seen this shape for a long time, and that shape will still remain. It's just it's going to be a little more elevated. And so This is a image of the site plan looking down at it. And as you can see, the L-shaped structure is still there. Because of the change in slope from Chauncey Avenue up to Northwestern, the plaza area itself is going to be terraced. And there's a mezzanine level of ground floor commercial and then plaza level commercial. The ADA accessibility is achieved from Chauncey Avenue into the plaza, and there actually will be an elevator open to the public to get you from the plaza up to the mezzanine. And then heading eastbound on State Street down the hill, there's an ADA entry point into the mezzanine level, so it's fairly seamless. The project itself, I'm kind of sticking to the renderings they've provided. It's a 12 and 13-story building that is essentially internally divided. About a third of the project is dedicated to market rate apartments, and the remainder is dedicated and designed for student-oriented. There will be 2 separate lobbies, residential lobbies, 2 separate elevator cores. They'll be internally divided. They will have access to their various parking areas beneath. There's a 3-level deep parking garage that will be built into the hill, and the building will sit atop it. And then from there, the plaza takes up the rest of the space. So the footprint of the garage is the same as the building. So there is actually there's no structured soil where the plaza is. So that means you can plant taller trees. So that's a bonus. The plaza itself is a bit of a moving target. It's the space of it is set, and certain design features like a stage for appropriately sized events and that sort of thing is kind of built in. But at the final detailed plan stage, City Green Space will be able to really finesse this thing and get it right, since it will serve a bit of a public purpose. A public access easement will be put over the plaza space to allow for public interaction and events. And so it'll be a very interesting space for sure. In terms of more functional things, the project itself will widen the alley that is behind it, that kind of bisects the entire block from Pierce to Chauncey. Ultimately, we want to get a 20-foot wide alley from end to end, like we were able to achieve behind the Rise and the Hub and Verve. And those 3 projects each contributed their part until the puzzle was complete. So this is no different. So the Standard is going to be contributing their bit. Hub 1 or Campus Edge contributed their bit, and this project's going to do theirs. So it's coming together. Presently, there's about 40,000 square feet in the existing strip mall, and we really wanted to hold the developer roughly to that. We didn't want too much commercial to disappear in favor of residential. And so they've achieved that between a balance of commercial and office, and I kind of just called out the commercial retail space of 36,000 square feet. But on top of that, there's actually an allowance of dedicated office space on the mezzanine level, where along the Chauncey Avenue frontage that will be dedicated to office, commercial office space. So truly live, work, play type of facility is what we were looking for here, and the mix of uses achieves that. The conditions of approval are fairly standard. The building does come pretty close to the FAA ceiling, but we've demonstrated that it's below. The rise is 16 stories, but it's also a little bit further down the hill, so further down you go, the taller you could go. So this project is, like I said, at 12 and 13 stories in total. There's no immediate adjacent historic properties that they had to necessarily show deference to, like the downtown plan prescribes, but there is an awful lot that they drew from the surrounding historic properties into this project. You may notice some of the images, these green elements around some of the entryways is reminiscent of the Purdue State Bank building across the street, the Sullivan Jewel Box. Those terracotta green elements are in there. And since this project's going to be across the street from it, they tried to draw from that element. And the State Street portion of the project is more heavily bricked, which is much more in keeping with its historic surroundings, where not so for the other portions of the project. And ultimately, we wanted it to read as if it sort of organically developed. There's sort of multiple structures in one. I think we achieved that effect with Rise and Hub especially. And so drawing from those examples, I think they've achieved a good result here. So I'll go ahead and wind this down. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer any. Otherwise, recommend approval of this petition.
Thanks, Ryan. Petitioner, petitioner's representative, wish to make a presentation.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Kevin Riley with RTS Law, representing the petitioner. Ryan mentioned we've been working on this for quite a long time, and I just wanted to mention how thankful we are for Area Plan and then the city team for their efforts and time on this and helping us to bring this project before you, because their collaboration has been key. We're excited about the value that this project is going to bring to the area and to this site in particular. I'm not going to rehash all of the details that Ryan went through, but I did want to add a couple of points. First of all, we are going to incorporate a large off-street loading area and drop-off area on Chauncey to help with the traffic flow. So things like deliveries can pull into that space without obstructing traffic along Chauncey. As part of the amenities package, we will be providing ample study space for the student residents. That's always been a big point of emphasis in these projects. We did present this project to the joint board at its last hearing and received all favorable feedback. The project, if approved at the City Council, is anticipated to begin construction in December of this year with completion in approximately 32 months. So happy to answer. Oh, members of the development team are here as well. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the petition?
Hi, Dave. Cheryl Kirkpatrick, 801 Carrollton Boulevard, West Lafayette, Indiana, 47906. It seems that I got some information wrong the last time I was here, which I then carried to the City Council, and it wasn't the person who is responsible for building this monstrosity. It was someone else who identified that the rent would be $1,800 a month. And at that point in time, I got up and made a very sarcastic remark about, since the people that are living there in the building that's going to be taken down so this building can be replacing it are only paying $1,000, well, therefore, their parents should just still keep paying $1,000, and Purdue could pick up the extra $800. And I think you all thought, yeah, right, ha, ha, ha. Okay, so I carried that to the City Council meeting and said this, and Mr. whoever who is in charge of this then got up and said, well, we never said $1,800, and I don't know where she got that idea. And I took offense to that as, what the hell is this old lady doing with $1,800? Well, let me tell you, I didn't make up that number. I have a very good memory, and I don't make up numbers. If it had been $1,810, I would have said $1,810. If it had been $1,811, I would have said $1,811, because I think you should have absolute facts that are true. Okay, that's settled. Now they mention it's for students, which at the West Lafayette City Council I said, how much do you think these apartments are going to go for? Because the people that are building them and fighting for this building can't give a figure. Isn't that nice? So I said, well, what, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000? So these will be available to rich kids? You've already heard my routine at West Lafayette City Council, asking how many of you on the board of the council had swimming pools in your dormitories. And why the kids at Purdue couldn't go to co-rec. Why they need a swimming pool. So are these for students, rich ones, there are plenty of them out there, or I would swear that I read about you having this meeting, and this building was going to be for graduate students and faculty workers, professors, and anybody else that works at Purdue, and whatever. Now, my father was a professor at Purdue. How much time?
You got 10 seconds.
All right. I'd like to know how much a graduate student makes as a stipend. If they're going to Purdue and they're going for a master's degree, I want to know that figure, and I would like to know the one who's going for a PhD, that figure, and tell you they wouldn't be making enough money to live there.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to the petition?
Hey, officer. So I am a graduate student, an ex-alumni. So,
Could I have your name and address, please?
Yeah, so I don't stay here. I stay in California, 151 Buckingham Drive, Santa Clara, California. I'm a student alumni. I graduated from Purdue 2021-2023, computer science, master's student. So I used to stay in 222, around the same block, Evergreen Campus Rentals. When I was a student, and the rent was, in 2021, that was like 3-4 years ago, the rent per person was $425. And now, it was a 4-bed, 2-bath. We used to share that, $425. So it was close to I don't know, just do the math. But now they are proposing $1,800, which is absurd in my opinion. But I just came in, I wanted to see that the campus which I came in is not like the affordability, because I was a graduate student, I was getting paid, I think around $900 for bi-weekly, which is 900 into 2, that's per month. I don't know how these kids are able to afford this. That's just my concern. This is not affordable housing. This is basically changing the entire shape of Purdue students. And this is coming from someone who has graduated from Purdue as the graduate student. So that's just my case. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Okay.
It wasn't 1,800, okay?
Any questions from the board? Comments?
You mind if I respond? You want me to
Sure.
respond first?
Yeah. Go ahead.
On the first batch of comments, that relates to a different project that was approved at City Council last month. So that's not this project. With respect to the second set of comments, we're not tearing down any existing apartments that rent for $425 a month. These are new apartments. Frankly, we're replacing a far outdated structure. We are getting rid of a giant concrete parking lot. So we think there's definitely value to what we are doing here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question. I'm not sure who will answer this, but I want clarification on market rate apartment versus student-oriented apartment. What's the difference between those two?
Hi, good evening. My name is Jonathan Cubo. I'm Managing Director of Development for Core Spaces, and I represent the developer. Address is 1643 North Milwaukee, Chicago, Illinois. The difference between the market rate and the student is primarily the mix. So the student side will be mainly consistent with student apartments. It'll be 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, and 5-bedroom. Our market rate will be more traditional market rate. It'll be studios, 1-bedrooms, and 2-bedrooms. Separate entrances, separate amenities, so we're trying to provide a little bit of separation between the two.
are you expecting it to be leased to entities as a unit for market rate apartments and not by bed?
It could be both,
It could be both.
potentially.
Both options.
Yep,
I
we're
see.
trying to keep it open. Obviously,
see.
FHA, we can't restrict who we rent to. It could be other students, it could be young urban professionals, it could be, empty nesters, it could be, others within the community.
So there will be an option to rent as a unit? and
Rent
not
as a unit
bed.
or by the bed. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right. You have a yellow ballot, please.
We have a unanimous ballot for approval.
Thank you, Ryan. In that case, received a recommendation for approval and will now be heard at the West Lafayette City Council meeting at the September 3rd meeting. Jerry.
Just trying to. Oh, sorry.
2138.
Yeah. I move to hear and vote on Z 2938 Purdue Research Foundation, PDRS to CBW.
I second.
All right. Let me turn to my spot. Okay. All right, so this petition is a bit of a do-over for the Purdue Research Foundation. Back in May of 2022, West Lafayette City Council approved a rezone for a residential condominium project, hence the PDRS zone that's there. The project was going to be called Source Condominiums, and I believe it was like a 4 or 5 story proposed structure, all residential condominiums for sale. Between then and now, I guess the PRF is here, they can explain, but they decided to have a change of direction, and they never recorded final detailed plans for this, so the land has not been disturbed for the purposes of the Source condominium project. They've decided to abandon that original concept and go into a different direction, and again, they're here, they can explain what they think the future plans might be. But to give them sort of maximum flexibility, they're essentially requesting a return to the zone that they used to have, which was Central Business West Lafayette, as part of the Discovery Park form-based overlay. And so if approved by council, this will essentially return it back to the CBW within the context of the form-based code for Discovery Park, which allows for a more intensely developed urban environment at a much higher profile. There is, we already have an apartment building on the corner of McCormick that is under construction now under that code. So they essentially would be giving themselves more flexibility in terms of development rights by getting out of the Source condominium, because that zone is very specific to that single project. So, so beyond that, there's not much else to say. Staff does support returning it back to CBW. As you may recall, for the ones that were on the commission at the time that the overlay was created, we largely rezoned all of Discovery Park, Central Business West Lafayette, except for the existing planned developments that were there, because that zone provided a lot more flexibility for the sort of things they wanted in Discovery Park. So they're essentially just returning back to what they had before. So with that, we are recommending approval. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ryan. Petitioner's representative wish to make a presentation.
Hello, Jeremy Slater, Vice President of Capital Projects and Facilities for the Purdue Research Foundation, also 5931 Concrete Lane, West Lafayette, Indiana. As Ryan mentioned, turns out condominiums, when interest rates and construction costs increase, it just makes it a little bit difficult to proceed with. So we had a roughly 56-unit condominium project. We had roughly about 35 deposits down, and then when interest rates increased, our deposits quickly went down to about 10, which just made it not a feasible project for us to move forward with. So as Ryan noted, returning back to the CBW enables us to be able to just have kind of where we started, gives us the ultimate flexibility, which kind of mixes in with the rest of the overlay district, everything basically east of Airport Road. So that's kind of our intent. Really have no planned projects right now. We are continually looking, trying to find and land different projects, maybe housing, could be hotel, looking at that as well. So a lot of different options that we're trying to figure out that could go on this site. Just north of this, our barn project did just start construction, which is roughly a 100-year-old barn that's being rebuilt and will be operated by Cunningham Restaurant Group. So our overall intention would be to kind of have this corner be pretty prominent in terms of what's happening at the park as well as at the barn project. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of this project or this petition? Anyone wishing to speak against this petition? Any questions from the board? Okay. Yellow ballot.
We have a unanimous ballot for approval. This will move on to West Lafayette.
Yes, and that'll go to the West Lafayette meeting on September 3rd as well.
To move to hear and vote on Z 2939, Holland Blackburn, R2 to MRU.
The petitioner, who is also the owner, is requesting a rezone to MRU to a house listed at 900 North 20th. What you'll see here is in this area where Salem and Union split, as you're coming down the hill, they're off of 20th and Salem come together. It's an existing single-family home. She currently runs a counseling service, which is not permitted in the R2 zone. This MRU zone would allow her to operate that use by right. The petitioner has this use established, but not legally, so she's looking to get a zone that will allow her to do that. This is the zone that was recommended by staff, and staff can support this request, which will provide her the ultimate flexibility for her proposed, or for her counseling business. Staff is recommending approval.
Thank you, Larry. So the petitioner's representative wish to make a presentation.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. My name is Holland Blackburn. I currently own and operate Holland Blackburn Counseling Services here in Lafayette. I'm a licensed mental health counselor as well as a national board certified counselor, and I'm requesting a rezone to continue practicing here in Lafayette. I really enjoy what I do and very proud of what I do, and would love to be able to have the opportunity to continue that. And in addition to the counseling practice, I would also like to be able to use it as a transient guest rental on weekends to supplement income from the counseling service, just to cover operating costs and make it profitable if that's possible. So I appreciate your time and the help from area planning. This is very much out of my wheelhouse, so I appreciate your help with all these pieces. So any questions you have for me, happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the petition? Any questions from the board? You have one more yellow ballot.
Oh, that's, the big farm stuff. It's right there at the corner of Burnett and Knox Street, yeah. No, that's okay.
We have a unanimous ballot for approval. This will move on to Lafayette.
And that will also be on September 3rd. Any administrative matters?
I have none.
Okay. Approval of the September Executive Committee agenda. Nothing, no subdivisions have been filed, so we have nothing there. Determination of variances.
I move that the following requests for variance from the Unified Zoning Ordinance are not requests for use variance prohibited from consideration by ordinance and statute. Gorley and Lori McKenzie, BZA 2170, Gorley and Lori McKenzie, and BZA 2172, Faith Properties.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Director's report.
Sent out last evening. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Any citizens' comments or grievances? Hearing none. Jerry?
I move to adjourn.
We're adjourned.
This conference is no longer being recorded.